welcome back everybody to the channel. Today I'm going to be working on this Lexus is300. I believe this one's an 04, but what I'm going to be doing should be the same for all of the is300s, or all of these all the is300s that are this body style. So what we got going on today is that we're going to be working on the suspension, control arms. It has coilovers already, so I need to adjust the coilovers because you can clearly see the front has a huge, well, not huge, but pretty big gap. It's at least 2 fingers. And then the back is super low. Can't even fit 1 finger in there. The back I probably need to raise a little bit, and the front for sure needs to come down a little bit. Besides that, we have an exhaust. I think it's just a cat back. First thing I'm gonna have to do is jack up the car, put it on some jack stands, and then we can get started. There we go. So now all we gotta do now is start taking the wheels off and getting into the suspension. Wheels off, now we can start working on this thing. So what we're gonna be taking care of today is gonna be these upper control arms. What I thought was coilovers are just sleeves, coilover sleeves. And on the rear, it's also upper control arms, and then there's like a small tie rod looking thing. So these control arms, and then this, whatever you call this, almost looks like a tie rod. And the one that he got me, first I didn't even know what it was, but it's an adjustable one. These are the front control arms. These are the rear, I believe. Yeah, so we'll take care of that, and then once we get to the exhaust, I'll take that one out and show you guys. But yeah, I'll be showing you guys one on the front, one on the rear, and then the other one I'll do off camera. And once I'm done completely with that, I'll be getting on the exhaust. And once I get to the exhaust, I'll take the exhaust out and show you guys how that's done, which should be simple, but I don't know. Hopefully, cross your fingers. Cross your fingers that it's easy. But sometimes with the aftermarket parts, it can get a little tricky. All right, so from what I can see right here, we got a bolt on each side. They look like 14 millimeter, and then the castle nut for the ball joint. And I think that's really it. So we'll get that taken off real quick. All right, so there's the first one out. This piece moves around a little bit, and you can barely see it's like ripped on the inner part of it. So anyways, if you were replacing them with stock replacements, then you'd just be taking this off, tossing the new one in. But we're replacing it with some adjustable ones, so now I gotta put that together. So when you're putting these together, it should be pretty obvious which one goes where, because they're angled differently. But just in case, they put an R and an L for right and left, and being that this is the passenger side one, that would be the right side. Here's the ball joint that we're going to be using. These go in here, and that's how they get their adjustment for when you drop it. So comes with that hardware. Put this in here, and then we can toss it back on the car. Alright, so I didn't find any instructions on how this goes, but I'm just guessing that this is how it goes. Like in the pictures that I found online, this is how it goes. I don't see any other way of it going. It just seems kind of crappy that those Allens are on the back side, not on the top side. I guess we'll see once I start putting it together. But right now, what I'm trying to do, trying to measure these out if possible, so that I can get them kind of close to put this where these were, just so it's close, so that, you know, then he could take it in to get an alignment and they can adjust it from there. All right, so now going back in, same process, super easy. Put that in there and just get your bolt back in. All right, now that we got those on, just make sure you tighten them, and if you're about those torque specs, and find what those torque specs are and torque it down. I am the torque wrench, so click. Let's not forget our cotter pin. Another thing for these bolts that go up here on the top for the control arms, the 14s, you don't want to tighten those until you've dropped the car down. And let's say that your car is really low, so you can't really get in there. You can put a jack underneath this spindle and jack it up so that it would be like if there was weight on the car, then tighten them down. But since this one's gonna go to the alignment shop, I'm probably gonna do that anyways, put a jack underneath and then tighten them. But yeah, it's gonna go to the alignment shop anyways. They're gonna take care of that. But if you were replacing these stocks and your height, your car's height is all stock, then yeah, you wanna have the car down with the weight on the suspension, then tighten these up here. And that's it for the front. Now we can move to the back. All right, so here are the two pieces that we're gonna be replacing on the rear. I don't even know what this one's called. Almost just looks like a tie rod. Whatever it may be. That one's getting replaced. That one has some sort of adjustment. And this upper control arm is getting replaced. And it looks pretty impossible to get to that back bolt. But I'll show you guys how it's done right now. So first thing that I do is I'm gonna take off this ball joint right here, take off the bolt, and you could hammer at this right here at the knuckle, and we'll probably pop it off. But I got this tool, I got it from Harbor Freight, makes it so much easier. So this end right here, this one goes up on the top between the ball joint right here, and this bottom piece, this is what's gonna push up on the threaded part of the ball joint and push it out. So this bolt, you tighten it and it makes this piece move upwards and push it up. Really simple. And for those areas where you can't fit a hammer to hammer on it, this is a lot easier. We're gonna use it on this one as well, since I mean I probably could hammer it, but you got this, it's gonna be way easier. You'll see. It's right on the threads. Also, it has two like settings. One for a smaller ball joint. This one I had to put on the bigger setting. So now thread this in, and we're gonna tighten this. And it's probably gonna scare the crap out of you when it pops, because it's gonna pop when it breaks loose. Woo. So there you go. Be prepared or not, but it's gonna pop pretty loud like that almost always. All right, now this one's popped off. Real quick, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure to mark this piece here with something, with a Sharpie, with whiteout, with whatever you can. Even if you just scratch it on the subframe part and on this bolt, because it's got an alignment there, like a camber bolt. So we want to make sure to try and put that back how it was, whether you were using one of these adjustable ones or just replacing with a factory one, just so you get it close. So now, see, this is the first one you can see. You can see this one pretty easily. This is gonna be a 17 millimeter. Oh yeah, this one was a 19. This one was a 17. These back here are 17s as well. I think what I can do is get it maybe from this backside. We'll see. Let me see what I could fit in here, but it's gonna be a 17, and more than likely you're gonna need a shallow socket. So let me grab some tools. So here, so what I'm gonna use, 17 shallow with my beat up ass ratchet. So we're gonna get this up here from this side on this one. I'll try that first. Okay, now that one's loose, can't even see the other one. The other one is right there. I believe should be able to stick this ratchet in there. Okay, so this is how I end up having it. I think if you don't have a swivel head ratchet, you may not be able to get it right here, but I'm sure you could use an extension to bring it out this way so that your ratchet is straight on this side of the strut. But I should be able to break it loose, hopefully. This side will be the hardest side to get to. You can see I got my ratchet right there, and I can barely get my hand in here. Maybe for you guys, if you got smaller hands, you can fit your hands in here a lot easier. But I can get my fingers on it and hold this nut on the backside while I'm loosening it. So that's going to be the hardest part. This one, you know, it's pretty accessible. This back one, it's a little bit harder if you got, oh crap, if you got some bigger hands. All right, got those two bolts out. Now I should just be able to wiggle this out. There we go. That's out. I saw that there was some people that take these whole strut assemblies off, or the coilovers, whatever they got. You don't need to do all that. I mean, if you want more space while you're working, you could, but that just seems like a lot of extra work that you don't need to do. So now you can see this one. We just got to mark this, and it's gonna probably get pretty close to that. It may even hit right there. We'll see what happens once we start trying to get that bolt out. All right, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Just give yourself some sort of like reference point to go back to once you're putting this back together. But you know, scratching with a screwdriver on there or whiteout will work too. I got a Sharpie and I can still see it, so that'll work for me. This thing was on there pretty tight. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to take this, what is this, ABS bracket off. Okay, so here we go. You can see that it hits right there, but you can turn this side to side. So we should be able to turn this way and maneuver this out. Bam. There you go. It looks like it's not gonna come out, but yeah, you just have to, you'll see that it's gonna get close to that. If you don't move this at all, it will get stuck. You just gotta turn it, and it should clear, just like it did right now. So now what we wanna try and do is get these, again, close to each other. That way when we put it back together, it's not too far off on the alignment. That right there looks about right. So now, same thing, when you go to put it in, you're gonna need to have it kind of like tilted at this angle so that you can maneuver the bolt past that little bracket right there. But shouldn't be too bad. Okay, let's just toss this back in. Another thing is we're not gonna be able to use this bracket anymore. Maybe we could. You put a zip tie on it. I'm gonna hold on to these and not put them on because I don't think they're gonna get in the way with the suspension travel. But if they do, I'll have them. So now we can move on to the upper control arm and get this one as close as we can to how it was. That looks about right. Maybe, yeah, it looks about right. Now let's just toss this one back on and we can move on to the next step. This is probably gonna be the hardest part of the whole deal, is gonna be this side, getting that bolt and nut on, just because there's not very much space. You can't fit your hand in there, but it's gonna be tight, so just be prepared for that. Yeah, you can see it went in pretty easy, kind of, sort of. We just gotta line up the bolts, and I'm gonna put this one in first, just because that's the easier one. Alrighty, there you can see I got both of them on there. They're not tight yet, they're just snugged, hand tight. But yeah, that back one, it's not that hard. It's just that it's limited space. Once you get your hand in there, it's not that bad, but you're gonna have to like hold the washer between your fingers like this. So the washer first, and then the nut, and then you just put your finger on there and hold the nut. It should stay put for you to tighten it. Maybe if you live in an area where it's really rusty and all this stuff is gonna be super crusty, it may be a little bit harder, but I'm pretty sure that you can probably stick like a wrench in through like this backside. It's easy for me since we got no rust here in Arizona. It's just a gajillion degrees right now. So now we got all this put back together. Again, if you're doing these aftermarket ones or you're putting factory ones back in, put everything back together, reverse order, and if you can, get your wheels on it and then, you know, get a wrench in there to tighten it once it's down on the ground, do it. I don't see how, so I would put a jack underneath this, lift up the jack to put some pressure on the suspension, then tighten it up. But you're gonna end up going to get an alignment anyways, so I'm just gonna do what I can now and then let them do what they gotta do with it. Okay, so now I got both sides done, front and rear. Just one thing about the driver's side rear, for this piece, you're gonna have this cover for the fuel filler neck that gets in the way. Just unbolt it. There's 2 10s that I took off, and just lift it up and put it right up here, out of your way, so that you can work comfortably. Otherwise, you're gonna be scraping up the top of your hands on this crap right here. And that's it. Now, I think all I gotta do is just these. And from what I remember, the rears, I needed to adjust to get a little bit more wheel gap because it was too low in the back. And the front needs to go a little bit lower. All right, guys, so I've been messing with this thing now for a little while, trying to adjust the height, and the rear wasn't too bad. I was able to get it up and down to get the right height. I still need, I think I need to raise this one a little bit more, but the front is already maxed out, so something is up there. And what I've been looking at is that I think that these coilover sleeves need this piece of the stock strut to be cut off, and then this is supposed to be flipped the other way around. I'm not too sure. It's what I've been seeing on just pictures online, because I can't really find that much info on them. But I told the owner of the car about it, and I think we're just gonna leave these alone, and he's gonna end up buying coilovers, because yeah, I'm not sure if I cut this off and then I can't figure out how to make this work, then he's gonna be having to buy something now, and I'm not sure if he can, so we're just gonna leave it alone. So as far as the height right now, we're just gonna mess with the rear a little bit and then leave the front as is. That way he still has a car to be able to drive, and then whenever he can get coilovers, then we'll install those. So now what I want to try and take care of is going to be the exhaust. So I'm gonna have to jump this car because I'm pretty sure the battery is dead now, and we'll see what the stock one sounds like. Well, not the stock one, the stuff that's on there, which I don't know what it is. Whatever that is, I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna put this HKS one on and see what that one sounds like. And that way we can see what the difference is between what's already on there and that HKS one. Try and get a little clip of it running before I install the exhaust. Shiny. Well, I guess this is just, for some reason I thought it was more. It looks pretty nice. Alright, so that didn't work out for me. For whatever reason, this thing now doesn't want to start. So I'm not gonna worry about it right now. I cleaned off the battery because it was all covered in acid and it was leaking out of these little caps. But I'm just gonna swap the exhaust out. I really wanted to show what it sounded like before and after, but whatever, not a big deal. Put the exhaust on and I'll figure out why this thing doesn't want to start. I even swapped out the battery from my truck over here to make sure that it wasn't just a weak battery, because all it would do was crank, but nope, not starting. So swap the exhaust and do the adjustment on the rear coilover sleeves, and then we could figure out what the hell is wrong with this. Maybe there's a kill switch that I'm just not remembering, or maybe he didn't tell me, but whatever it may be, we'll figure it out later. So as far as this exhaust, I don't see there being very much to it. I got 2 bolts over there, a hanger there, and I think a hanger up here somewhere. Where the hell is that? Oh, it's supposed to be right there. It doesn't have it on there. Maybe that's what was wrong with it. moving around all crazy, rattling. Well, whatever the case may be, we're gonna swap it out. Well, there we go, guys. That would be a reason why the hangers weren't there, because they're broken off. So now, put this other one on. Make sure all the hangers are on there too. Well, it looks like all the hangers are there. So now, let's just put this thing back in. Well, it got dark on me, but I got it on. This one looks a hell of a lot better than the other one. On there, real sturdy now that those hangers are on there, but it was a pain in the ass to get those hangers on the ones up here that were broken. They're on there like really tight. It took me a little bit to get them on. So who knows if those may break as well, because it's a real struggle to get those two on. But I didn't show it, but that exhaust is like 3 times heavier than this one. This is like paper. I mean, maybe I'm strong, or maybe this is super light. I think this is super light. Maybe just a little bit strong, but not that strong. All right, guys, so a week has gone by, and I finally figured out what the heck was keeping this car from starting. It turned out to be the security system on this. My girlfriend ended up helping me figure this out. She was messing with the key, locking and unlocking this thing, and I would have never thought that it was going to be something like that, but she was in there messing with the key, and I had her in there just cranking it while I was testing stuff over here, making sure, like, if I had spark or if I had a injector pulse or whatever. I think while I was checking the injector pulse, that thing just randomly started, and yeah, it was pretty stupid. So maybe anybody that's having this issue, or she got in the car, closed the door, locked it, and then unlocked it, and then cranked it, and it started right up. And I had been messing with the key, locking, unlocking, doing it right here at the door with the key, with this thing, and yeah, it still wasn't working for me. So it worked for her, but at least now we got it started. So now we can hear it crank up, and hear what that HKS exhaust sounds like. So that's how the exhaust sounds. I think it sounds a hell of a lot better than the other one did. I really wish that I could have got a clip of the other one, of how the other one sounded, but it sounded really raspy, and it was just loud all the time, no matter what. And this one, you could tell that at idle, it sounds pretty normal. It doesn't sound like very much louder than what a stock one would sound like, and sounds pretty nice once you get up in the higher RPMs. One thing that I did notice, the idle right now is really low. So in the video, you might be able to hear that the idle is really low, and that's just because the battery had been disconnected, and I have to relearn the idle again. And I think I might have talked about that in another video, where you have to run the car with the AC on, and that'll relearn itself. But anyways, that's where the height ended up being for the suspension. I wish I could have gone maybe, this is fine for the rear. I wish I could have gone lower in the front, but we're having an issue with the front and couldn't really go any lower. So I think that's gonna be it for this video. I really wish I could have been able to do more right now to the suspension. I wanted to make it look a lot nicer, but for now this will be cool. So I thought I was gonna be done with this car, but while I was checking everything out and I took this cover off to check to see if it had spark, I found that the spark plug wires are covered in oil, so I have to replace the valve cover gaskets and the spark plug wires and maybe the spark plugs. I'm not sure if he wants to do the spark plug, but for sure, valve cover gaskets and spark plug wires. The spark plug wires are arcing. While I was checking them, it shocked the crap out of me. So that's more than likely going to be on the next video, is showing you how to do valve cover gaskets on this thing. Anyways, that's going to be it for this, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.